You think making friends in your 20s is hard? Today, we're not gonna lie. Welcome everybody to a new episode of NGL, where we talk about all the things in life that matter to us. And we noticed from our previous episode, right, that you guys seem to really like our friendship episode. And so today we're back to talk about friendships, but from a happier angle, because the last time we cried a lot talking about friendship breakups, right? Today we're going to talk about something a little bit happier. We're talking about how to make friends in our 20s. And I have with me two very beautiful people, beautiful and handsome lah, huh? So why don't you introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Okay. Hi, I'm Alvin. In my mid-30s, I was an extrovert that used to can't be alone. I need to go out, at least with someone. Yeah, every day. Yeah.
Wow, what an interesting decade of your life. Okay, how about you?
Haoyar, in my mid-20s, and I have I think around 5 friends.
Wow.
That's a lot, right?
I think so. You can tell from the energy, right, that Haoyar is clearly an introvert and Alvin is clearly an extrovert. And we're going to hear a lot more about your stories later on. But the reason why we wanted to talk about this topic today, right, is because we know that your 20s are quite an interesting time of your life. You know, in your 20s, so many things happen. You probably move through at least a few different life stations. And one of the things that happens in your 20s also is that you graduate from school, or you enter into uni and then eventually you graduate from uni, right? And one of the things we have to navigate quite a bit through this decade of our life are our friendships. Because I think as we grow older, what many people face also is with the change in our lifestyle, the change in our environments, things like having a lack of time, the drop in frequency, not knowing whether in my heart I can even accommodate new friends. And these are all things that then when we come to think about making friends in our 20s, right, some of us may really feel like, wow, it's so challenging. Am I really able to make a meaningful connection in my 20s versus when I was much younger? And so today we want to talk about all these things. You know, is there a limit to the number of close friends you can have? How do we go about making friends in our 20s? Is it all about struggles, or are there even some joys in making friends? And I can't wait to get started. So to start us off, right, we have a little activity. So our producers actually posted on our Instagram as well as our Telegram channel, right, to ask you guys what are some of your unforgettable memories with your friends. Okay, and today we're going to read out a few of the entries that we have, and y'all can let us know what you think about it, or whether you have such experiences with your friends as well.
Okay, sure.
So let's see. Okay, most unforgettable experiences. The first entry, we were baking and we forgot to tape the baking paper to the tray, so I put it into the oven. It touched the top of the oven and the baking paper caught on fire. Everybody started screaming and I had to put the whole tray under the tap, including the cookies. But we laughed about it afterwards.
Were they making lava cakes or something like that?
No, but I think it became a lava cake after that.
I see.
This sounds like something that girls will do. Haoyar, do you have such an experience in your life?
I melted an entire oven before so...
No, seriously?
Yeah, I put the tray in and then the entire tray melted. So...
Okay, yeah. I guess whoever you are, anonymous, Haoyar has done something worse than you. Okay, let's see the next story. Oh, this one is quite sweet. It was a very down season of my life and I had a very pessimistic outlook of life back then. While I thought no one was patient enough to sit with me in the ugly thoughts and messy emotions, my friend sat with me in all of it and reminded me that I am loved. We spent the night lying down at a bridge, looking at the sky, laughing a lot for the first time in a long time, singing to our heart's content and just enjoying each other's presence. This shifted my perspective on the purpose of friendships.
Wow.
Very sweet. Do y'all have these kind of experiences in your life?
Maybe not under the bridge or under the stars, but yeah.
Yours is under what?
I mean, maybe...
Coconut tree.
Coconut tree, Maybe in the Tekong jungle, then we did that. Under the star, yeah.
Wow, very sweet. Oh, this last one, okay, it's quite epic. I was overseas on holiday with a friend. My phone suddenly died and her phone battery was at 1%. And we were in an ulu place that was a 2-hour train ride away from our Airbnb. Somehow, we continued to take photos and videos of all the places we visited and we laughed through the whole day. Thankfully, we got back to our Airbnb safely and I enjoyed the rest of the trip without my phone. And that's where I realized this person can be my friend for life. Very adventurous, very YOLO. I think if I had 1%, I might not even open Google Maps anymore because it would die. But they can take many, many photos. So are your friends that YOLO?
Yeah, I have some. Yeah.
You look like you're the YOLO friend.
I think so.
Okay, I'm sure we will hear many of Alvin's stories later. But Haoyar, you're probably the friend that tell them 1% keep in your bag.
It happened to me before, so like the exact same thing. Like,
Are these all your stories?
No.
Oh yeah.
Maybe.
Wait, so you had this same experience?
Yeah, like I think the exact same scenario when we were in Bangkok, but then we still like went for the night market and stuff.
Wow, it's great to be young.
Yeah,
People are
it
so
is.
courageous when they're young.
Yeah, last time
Last time. Okay, so we want to hear so much more of your stories, right? Thank you, producer. We want to hear so many more of your stories today, right? So let's start off with the most basic question, okay? Do you guys think that it's difficult to make friends in your 20s?
I think for me it's easy but yet complex. Yeah, easy because you're in a stage that your proximity in terms of your life stage could be NS, could be working. You have so many chances to meet new people. Yeah, so you have more people to meet, more different chances to meet them, and I think also the challenge is complicated because what happens is that there may be maybe in your workplace or in army there could be a power difference.
True.
Yeah, like for example, there's a rank in army.
Yeah.
Then you're very close to your maybe sergeant or officer. Then you share with them, hey, wow, I want to talking or what? Oh, you're in trouble. Or your colleague who is very close to a boss. Then that may affect your appraisal. So this may affect your friendship. Yeah.
So you feel like in your 20s because you maybe in life you go through some changes like in comparison to in school where everybody's kind of equal. It kind of complicates the dynamic a little bit.
Yeah, I mean your friendship won't affect your grades ma.
Yeah.
Where your work is different or in army is different.
Was that something that you kind of struggled with in your 20s?
I think yes, because in my 20s, even though it's easy to make friends, but I'm so striving for my own maybe career goals, my own busy in my maybe to achieve a certain status, to strive it out there, now I'm working, yeah.
How about you? What do you think?
I think for me, I think it is quite easy. I think when you mention the power difference and all, cause for me, I'm still my first company, like my first job. So I feel that my company culture, I tend to view all my colleagues as a friend lah. Yeah. So I think when I talk to them or when I connect with them, I guess to me it isn't so much of a power difference, but I just treat them as friends. Yeah. So I think it's a culture difference lah. But I think mainly is about the energy, whether I'm willing and other party is willing to invest into a friendship. For me, I'm always willing. If someone wants to build this friendship, if someone wants to meet, if someone wants to hang out, I'm always willing to do so. So I think on my end, I feel that it's quite easy. Yeah.
Y'all have quite a different opinion from me because when I entered my 20s, right, I actually felt that it was quite difficult to make friends. But I think the problem was me because I think by the time I entered into uni was about 19, 20, right? I found myself feeling I don't really want to make friends anymore because I have who I need already, from my secondary school days and my JC days. And it felt like those were sincerely deep and meaningful friendships. And maybe because for me, I don't really like to make myself known or have to share a lot about myself, right? So the thought of having to open up my life again, right, to a new person was wow, so tiring. It's Friends, right, got 10 seasons. It's you only enter my life at season 9 then I need to describe to you season 1 to season 8 what happened. Wow, I got no time to do that. And so when I entered into uni, right, I was super resistant to making friends. But I think then along the way, because of certain circumstances, I was kind of forced to hang out a lot with some people, right? And from there, a friendship came out and I was surprised that I could still make friends. So to y'all, when y'all think about making friends in your 20s, what does friends mean?
I think friends for me is just very simply sometimes just fun friends. Play soccer, interest groups.
They were not acquaintance.
Then just friends. Yeah, then along the way, play more often, you join more often. Maybe. Then start to talk a bit more. After playing a sport, then you're like, hey, how's your life? What are you doing now? Then maybe you can shift up a bit. Yeah.
So, okay, if you see this guy every week to play soccer, but you never talk about anything, just hi and bye, you consider him friend?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, okay. But okay.
So we don't mind just the activity and just the fun, for that level, and that's it. We can keep it at that, yeah.
No, I know already. It's because Alvin sees friendship this way, right? To him, the guy that he sees every week playing soccer is a friend, right? That's why your answer to the first question is that it's easy to make friends in your 20s. Then are you friends with the uncle that you buy coffee from every morning? Because you see him more than the weekly guy.
Wow, this one very different. Then that one is really, but I don't hang out with the uncle. That's very weird already.
Okay lah, unless you go in and pow kopi with him. Then your friends?
Maybe another level already.
Then your homie.
But what if like the uncle, you know, like what he 泡, then he ask you, 你最近怎样啊? Then he ask about your life. Then you know uncle like ask about
Yes,
that kind
yes,
of thing
yes.
one.
Then the uncle know more
Then
about
maybe
you
it's
than
a
the
friend
soccer
already.
guy.
Yeah. Then the level different already.
Wow.
Yeah, the
So
friendship level
that's
up.
how you make friends in your 20s.
Yes.
Ask the coffee
That
uncle
one
how is
30s,
he.
30, 40s.
30, 40s. Then we
Name
make friends
kopi
that
already.
way.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very interesting.
But it's true. I mean, once if someone cares for you and tend to like spend more time to listen,
Yeah.
I think that's a sign of friendship. And that's how friendship starts. Right? Yeah.
For me, I think like I see friends as people that will always be there for me. Like, for me, presence is a very big thing. So it's not like we need to like meet like every week that kind or like even every month, but at least we check in with each other once in a while, like over text or like, okay, I don't like calling lah, so over text will do lah. And like we meet each other maybe like once every half a year or yearly, and then every time we like meet together and we have conversations and we have good conversations where we catch up from like where we left off previously, right? I think that is enough for me lah. So as long as like the other party is like always willing to build this or always willing to be intentional to put in time, even though like it might be just be once in 6 months, that's why I consider a friend law that like will always make time for me lah. And then I think how I really define this person as a friend is that like it doesn't just happen once or twice, but it happens like over a long stretch, like every 6 months we meet, every year we meet. Yeah, so I think it's about the consistency and the intentionality.
Do you like personally feel like there are differences making friends like in your 20s versus like when you were younger?
Yes, there's a lot of difference. I think it only gets harder as you get older.
That's so
Yeah,
sad.
it's because your energy will not be the same. Sadly, the reality is that you will not have time. Some for themselves as well, and I think and they may not be that as open to making more friends as well as compared to maybe when they're younger. Yeah, because as you get older, then you become more selective in how you want to spend your time, and most of the time, people will choose to spend time on themselves rather than take a risk to say, get to know more people, get to open up, or like what I shared earlier, like to even talk about things that they find that can talk about. Yeah, I think that they feel a bit more guarded in some sense as they get older. Yeah.
Okay, what about you? Do you feel like there are some differences?
I think I was thinking about it recently. Okay, so like, cause I have braces, right? So recently, like, I went to the dentist, and then like this friend followed me there, and then like after that like visit, right? Cause like we had to wait outside for like half an hour before they called me in. So the friend just like sat there, waited with me for half an hour, and then waited for me to like fix my braces for like another half an hour. Then I came out, right? Then we just like went to like eat together, and then I was thinking about it. So I told her that like, oh wow, like it's very interesting to me to have a friend that will sit through like a half an hour wait at a dentist with me, cause I feel like last time when I was younger, right, I didn't have friends who would do that for me. Yeah, so like I was thinking about like I guess the friendships I had in the past. I think like in my younger days, right, all my friendships are like, okay, we need to go out and then we need to play like captain's ball or like basketball or like soccer, and then we need to have fun together. But it hit me that like nowadays my friendships are friendships that like even in the mundane and even in the boring things, like it can still thrive. So like I think that was a very like heartwarming side to me lor. Yeah.
To the two of you, like when y'all look at friendships, right, do you see it as like seasonal or like a lifelong thing? Because right, I think this actually matters quite a bit to people who might feel a certain way lah towards making friends in your 20s. Like for example, for me, right, because my general like take towards friendship is that I believe in lifelong friendships to the extent that when I'm friends with a person, right, I really like automatically imagine going through milestones with them. So like I will just assume that you will be at my wedding. I assume that if we do have kids, our kids will grow up together. They will call you Auntie Haoyar, Uncle Alvin, that kind of thing. And we will really like continue to spend time together as we grow older. So because I hold on to such a view, right, like it is extra sad to me when like friendships don't work out, or I will feel very like, yeah, in my 20s, how can I still like really meet somebody who can connect with me on such a deep level when all these friends where I met younger, we have so much shared history. That's why we are connected so deeply. And I think that forms for me an inertia to like making friends in my 20s lah.
I mean, for me, it's seasonal. Yeah, I think.
Really?
Yeah, it's because I think maybe I just share like my wedding, for example. Then the friends that I invite, I think I thought it's my close friend, but he turned me down and said, "Oh, he won't be coming."
So
Yeah,
sad.
so that is something that I realized. Yeah, that is seasonal, and at that period of time, yes, they have served a certain like journey together, like maybe proximity, happen to be serving together in the same ministry. But after that, we fade off, lor. Yeah, and that may happen, and it's sad, but I think I also come to acknowledge that it happens. Maybe some of them they may go overseas also. Not that it's their choice, or could be their career. So there are things that I learned to acknowledge and say, it's life. It's also part of friends lah. The journey as well. Happy for them.
Yeah, like you currently hold this view that friendships are seasonal, but do you always hold this view, or like because of how maybe certain things turn out in your life, right? Then now you have come to accept that it's seasonal.
I think it's now that I learn to be more open about it and learn to say that it's seasonal. Last time I'm more like I told you, like, oh, I see these few friends to go old together. So I'm quite fixed on that point of view lah. Yeah.
Do you think this is something that we will just accept as we grow older? As in, because now, I mean, I'm closer to your age than Haoyar is to your age lah. And I kind of get what you mean though. That like, maybe when you're younger, you hold on to some ideals, right? But actually, just as you grow older, you see that life doesn't turn out that way lah.
Yeah.
And maybe you come to accept a bit more that friendships can be seasonal. But I think then how you make sense of that will determine whether you feel very sad or you feel okay about it lah.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of get what you mean. Yeah.
Actually, for me, I feel like all my friendships are lifelong. But I also like struggled with like seasonal friendships before lah. So I think like when I was in school, like cause just now I mentioned that like I don't really keep any of my friends, right? I think it's also because like those friends didn't really want to keep me, and even though like many times I like tried to reach out with them despite being very close during school, right? Like I text them, like after I graduate, I text them like, oh, want to hang out, want to meet up, want to do this together. I think their replies just got like lesser and lesser and slower and slower. And then over time, like honestly, I was like quite hurt by that. And I think I went through the same thing as you lah. Like, I thought like, oh, is it like my issue? Like what's wrong with me? Like, am I not a good friend, or like am I just an annoying person, right? But I think like so I had a lot of those thoughts when I was younger lah, and I think I struggled with the fact that like, oh, actually like people, okay, so how I came to this conclusion, right, is that I used to be very, very like insecure, and I used to like I think a lot of negative things. But I think like when like cause I'm Christian lah, so like when I came to God, like when I confided in God, like He just built up my confidence, and like a lot of my insecurities, I started to not see myself in such a negative light. I started to be more confident in myself as a person, in my self-worth. And I think even after like worrying about all these like negativity and like all these friendship issues, right, like even though I still face like friendship breakups like in the past few years, right, I start to think that, oh, actually maybe people just view friendships different from me. People just see like friendships as like seasonal, but to me, I will always choose to view it as a lifelong thing lah. So I mentioned that if you are willing to build this friendship with me, I'll be willing to build it with you. I'll be willing to like invest time in it with you and like walk with you for a long time lor. Yeah, so that's how I view it lah. Yeah, but it was definitely a struggle for me lah, like to go through that whole entire process, and like, cause a lot of times I'm alone, and then I really like had a lot of negative thoughts. Yeah. But thank God lah. Yeah.
Wow, I'm sure that it was quite difficult, man, to just feel like, I think to be on the receiving end of somebody ghosting you lah, or just not really responding to you that much.
Emotional girl when I was younger.
Yeah, but I think I would be too if like people like treated me that way.
Yeah, who won't? Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But so like to you now, you feel like there needs to be is it like an agreement that we're both in it together, and if we're willing to invest, then I also will invest.
Well, sound like marriage, eh?
A bit leh.
No. I think it's too scary for a friend, but.
Okay lah. I mean, I don't have like conversations like this with friends. Like sit down and like, okay, are we willing to commit to this friendship for life? I mean, I don't have this kind of thing lah. But like, I think as we spend like more and more time together, and the more of our life we share to each other, I don't know. Maybe it's just in the air thing that like, oh, I feel comfortable with you, and I feel that like I can trust you with my secrets and trust you with my pains and my hurts, and like I can visualize you like being in my future also lor. Like so when like you mentioned like seeing your friends you taking care of your friends' kids, that kind of thing. I also got think like, oh, next time when I get married, then who is gonna be my bridesmaids? Then I do think of these few people. So I think it's more of the idea that I'm able to see them in my future. Yeah.
So on the topic of weddings, right? One of the things that my friend said this to me, which I thought was very interesting. So because he kind of has like friends lah, but I think he's also the kind that just generally gets along well with people and like can play. But when it came to his wedding and when he had to actually like select who to be his brothers, right? Like he actually felt very uncertain about who to ask because he felt like maybe he treats this person as their friend, right? But he doesn't really know how they see him, and he doesn't know whether like by asking them to be his brother, is he like imposing on them or like just giving them work to do when they could have just come for the wedding, you know? And when I heard that, then I realized it was because in his life there wasn't that certainty that this person is my lifelong friend. Like there are people who like, you know, you just hang out with in that season of your life when you're in poly, when you're in uni, right? But after that, then maybe you're just not that close. And wow, when he shared that, I just felt so like, I felt so much for him because I just feel like to be planning your wedding and then like having to think about this, right? It becomes a very, I don't know, like it becomes like a snapshot of like the friends that you've had in your life and how actually maybe some of them are not in my life anymore. I personally felt that when I went through my wedding, right? Because like what I mentioned, in my 20s, I was quite resistant to making friends in uni. But in the end, I kind of like by circumstances managed to make friends with these few people that I always took modules with, like, and I was forced to be in the same module with them because I had to clear those modules, right? And then because of that, in my wedding when we did photo taking, right? So there was like, okay, Natasha's secondary school friends, JC friends, university friends, right? And I really thought to myself like, oh my gosh, thank God I was forced to make friends with them. If not, when I do my wedding photo taking, right, I will literally skip one chapter of my life. Like I have zero uni friends, and it just becomes a very clear snapshot to you that, wow, you got friends before you're 10 years old, you got friends before you're 20 years old. After 10 years, you got no more friends, Natasha Ching. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so sad.
Oh no, I also got no school friends. How
not too late to start. You're 25.
Oh, okay. I will start now. Actually, I'm very interested. Like, so if you view friendships as like seasonal, right? Then, like, how do you plan like? Cause you're married, right? So how do you plan like your best man for like your weddings, that kind? Like you imagine a future with them also?
No lah, I don't.
He imagines a future with his wife.
I only imagine my wedding, not my wedding, my friends. Yeah. So I think okay, I imagine I'm not to that far. I don't know if it's a guy thing or not, but we don't think so like far.
I think so.
Yeah. Wait, sorry. So. Some guys don't even think at all. I mean, sorry. I mean, okay. So I think most of all, I think we just have a few like close friends, and we think that some friends may not need to talk at all. Just okay, I'll be there.
Yeah, like when you need me, I'm there lah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they will really provide that service, provide that help when you need. Yeah. So I don't have that, don't have the struggle, and I do have quite a wide range of friends lah, and the oldest one being like I mentioned primary school all the way to like secondary school. Yeah.
So you still had like best man for your wedding one lah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It was hard for me to make a decision on who is my best friend.
Hard for you?
Yeah.
Why, you got too many friends?
Because I have to like somehow make them into a tier list, like which one is the more closer one.
Wow, he has a very different problem from us.
I only have like 5 friends, so very easy.
It's different, yeah, it's different.
Oh my god, okay. I need you to teach me how to make friends.
Okay, I want to ask a maybe slightly more personal question. Alvin, because you have so many friends and you have to tier them, right? Do you think that some of these people saw you as their lifelong friend, but you see them as a seasonal friend?
Wow. I think...
Ouch.
I don't know.
Anybody tell you before?
No, they don't... Very hard to tell. It's nothing...
I think some girls will just say.
Really?
What, meh? They will express their disappointment, what? If like they feel like they are investing a lot and you are not reciprocating.
I don't know. I always invest in my friends. I'm the one who gets... Yep.
And you won't say if you're disappointed?
No. I think I just like... I mean, I used to be insecure, so I just like, okay.
You just settle it yourself.
It's my fate.
Yeah, let it go.
Oh,
let it go after that. So I have filtered like a lot. Yeah, so the friends I have now is really like my tier 1.
Like there's certainty lah, that they see you the same way.
Yeah.
But like for you, like...
No, I don't think guys will like... I don't like you, I don't friend you. I mean, they won't say...
But the people like just fade away?
Yeah, actually one of my best friend, which is Sunny, for how long? Let's see, more than 16 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think at one period of time, when we start working, because we're both in different sectors,
Yeah.
his is more banking, mine is non-profit.
Oh,
yeah,
very
so
different.
very different.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I felt like very hard to maintain that friendship, and
Wait, because of what?
because of like very different groups, the proximity is no longer the same. I mean, he's a different ministry. I mean, church lah. Yeah, and also life stage also a bit different. Yeah.
Like your whole, what you experience on a day-to-day very different.
Very different, yes. And our common friends or mutual friends are getting lesser and lesser as we grew more distant.
Yeah.
Then after a while, it's like, we stop. I thought it was like, is it okay to just don't contact? Yeah. Then to a point that my friend, another mutual friend said, what happened? This friendship.
Oh, they notice.
They notice.
Yes. Wow. Okay.
So I was like, I don't think it's worth losing this friend. And then I just took the courage to just initiate, and somehow things grew from there, and now we are still very close friends. Yeah.
So, we talk a lot about like maintaining old friendships, and I think that is quite a big part of enjoying friendship in our 20s, right? But I think for a lot of our listeners, perhaps what is also on their mind is the idea of making new friends in your 20s. And to some degree, I also wonder whether the pandemic has kind of made it even harder than it used to be. Because I have people who tell me, like, for example, they entered into university at year 1, right, during the first year of COVID. So essentially, right, for the first 2 years of their uni life, it's all online. Like, they never even step into campus at all. And by the time they finally step into campus, they are already year 3 and they know nobody.
Yeah.
And I imagine just entering into a new environment during COVID is so isolating.
Yes.
Like, not just because you are at home, but just everybody is work from home. You're just seeing names on a screen, right? And in a situation like that, how do we go about making new friends, Or have you ever like felt that also in the past few years?
I think definitely. I would imagine like in your 20s, then in your like the proximity is not there already. Then sometimes we get proximity, then we get the social cue, whether the person is open for a friendship.
Yeah.
But now don't have. Now just everything mute. Everything. Can you hear me? Yeah, so it's very hard. So I think to restart this a skill or to restart making friends, it takes a bit more effort, a bit more like energy to say, hey, initiate, which everyone is a bit more like hesitant. We don't know when to start. But my fear is that if you don't start now, then it will only get harder, because your energy is, like I mentioned, you're not gonna get any more energy. All of a sudden, you're not going to drink Red Bull or certain brand of like energy drink, you become very energetic. That's not going to happen. And my fear is that it will only lose the potential of you making friends.
Actually, the longer it drags on, the more awkward it is to
the
start.
more awkward, because your friends were like, so long never chat really. What are you telling me? Yeah, they could think that way. Yeah.
For me, I struggled a lot like coming out of that, because like I think over COVID, like I actually had this period of time. I mean, over the major period of COVID, like I was just at home, and then because everything is on Zoom, right? Then I really, because I'm so introverted, right? Then I really don't like the idea of like even like talking to people, of meeting people on Zoom. And then I think like because of how everything just like forces you to stay in your room, right? That really added really added a lot to my introvertness. I don't know if that's a word, but like, I became like more and more increasingly introvert, and like I was really okay with just being in my room, not talking to anybody, like even if my family have to talk to them because we live in the same house. But apart from that, like I was okay with not talking to anybody. So like actually like when
social distance officer,
alone in my own room, so like I think like when COVID got increasingly better, and then things got better, and then like we have to come back to work or like to school, right? Like it was really very tough for me, because I had to like physically force myself to go out and like talk to people again. Like last time I don't even like talk to people. I just like, okay, wake up, like use calm, and then go sleep kind of thing.
Actually, really can go about a whole day without talking, right?
Yeah. Wow, it's really an introvert thing, yeah. So like it was really, really very hard, but I think it's about really being intentional. I know it's very hard, but actually like sometimes if you just put in that one small step, right? Like I think you'll really like meet someone who is also struggling with the same thing, and is also willing to put in that one small step to reciprocate your like energy. And I think about like the school thing, right? Cause like how I mentioned, I didn't keep any of my school friends, right? But I remember that there was this one girl, right, that like I think I was in year 2 or something, and then like I didn't keep like my I had this clique lah, so I didn't keep them from like year 1. But when I was in year 2, right, like it was very hard for me to make friends again, cause like everyone already had friends from like year 1.
Yeah.
So I was like wandering like around my like class alone. Then I saw this one girl that like, oh, like she looked like she didn't really have any friends, so she looked alone. So I was like, okay, like why not I try just like, you know, being intentional and going up to her. So like I just like I was the first one to like try to bridge the gap lah. So I just like, oh, hello. And then I realized she was very quiet. Then I like, oh, okay, maybe like can try. But so at the start, she didn't seem very like, she didn't really reciprocate to me like the energy and stuff. But then I just kept like, like eating with her, like lunch and like putting myself in her project group, that kind of thing.
So you just like slide into her life.
Then over time, I like, okay. Then after that, she just like, I think after a while, she just like, oh, okay, maybe next time I can just pair with her. Next time lunch I can just have with her. Then like when we do things, we can just do things together. So yeah, I really slid into her life lah.
Yes.
Yeah, then like she's one of my only poly friends, like from like poly until now lor. So I really think it's about intentionality, and also like I guess being open to like make new friends, and also like just trusting that the other party is also like will open up to whatever energy and whatever like realness that you're bringing to like the table lah. Yeah.
I think the biggest barrier is also self lah. Like sometimes you think or you perceive like it's hard, but it is a bit paiseh also. Sometimes you feel like a bit why I put in effort lah. But I also feel that sometimes if you try asking, right, even you may get, I mean, the fear of rejection no one likes lah. Yeah. But I think if you try, and I mean, people will generally appreciate, and you will get a response, and like what you shared, like they will just let you know and ask, why not? Yeah, be open.
The paiseh and awkward thing is real leh. Like personally, right? I mean, I don't look it, but I hate like meeting new people. And like I noticed that when I enter new environments, right? So even when I started work, right? Like, wow, I really don't want to meet new people. I honestly don't really want to talk to people. And I'm very, very okay being quiet the entire day. I'm very okay not saying anything. And I think in COVID, it gave me permission to like just hide in my room and do work on my own, when in office, maybe sometimes I'll feel a bit bad, like everybody's like interacting. I just sit at the cubicle.
Feel distracted. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I got different problem from you. It's like, I don't want people to like talk to me, you know. So like, I think one of the things I realized is sincerely what Alvin said, that I really just need to get over myself. And I get that it is harder for some people than others. I think maybe I fall somewhere in between, where if I want to, maybe I really can force myself to put myself out there. But I think it honestly is very hard if we are not willing to put aside our awkwardness and even like our nerves, right? And we expect people to approach us. Because if we don't signal to people that we are open for conversation, I think it also takes a lot out of them to approach you. Once in a while, you may have a nice person like Haoyar in your life who approaches you when you're alone and like keeps sliding into your life. But like, not everybody's like that. And if I keep exuding a very unfriendly like vibe, or like very not interested vibe, right, then it's not people's fault that they don't want to kind of approach me, you know. So I do think like one of the things I'm trying to do a bit more is actually to kind of put myself out there and to not be so contented with just being alone at work. I think there's room to be contented in yourself and being alone, but when there's like joy, when there's a need to talk to people, socialize, or even just be interested in their life over a lunch, like there's no harm trying lah. You know. So I think coming out of the pandemic, for some of us who maybe can be quite satisfied being alone, perhaps it is time to also rediscover the joy of like having people to go through life with. It doesn't have to be very deep lah, honestly. It's as simple as just like eating lunch together and laughing about something stupid, you know. But at least we can talk to people.
Yeah, actually, right, like the awkward thing, right, well, I relate to that a lot. Cause right, every time like my friends I've made in the past, right, every time I always feel that when I first am like in their presence, right, I was like, okay, like what do I say? Like I feel like I'm shaking my socks, that kind of thing.
Always, like,
and like thinking of like, what can I say? Like, am I weird? That kind. Yeah, but after I like start to become friends with them, after a long period of time, I always like ask them like, what's your first impression of me? Like, do you feel that I'm a very awkward person? And they're like, no leh, like since the start, like you've always been like very comfortable. Then I'm like, you don't feel like I'm awkward? Like I like dying, and then they are just like, oh no leh, like you seem fine, you don't seem nervous at all, and you seem like you're great with talking to new people. And I'm like, oh, thanks for thinking so highly of me, but actually it was very different when like I first knew you. Yeah, so I really relate with the awkwardness.
Yeah.
I was reading, like in preparation for this episode, I actually was reading some articles about like why making friends in your 20s is so difficult, or like then it ventured on to like tips for making friends in your 20s, right? And one of the things that the article said was actually to put yourself out there more, which I think maybe sometimes by the time you hit your 20s, you don't really feel like doing just because like there's other things in your life. It's like you have to work. Some of us were in a relationship and things like that, right? But it's kind of true that if you don't do anything to expand your networks, you're not going to chance upon a random friend on the street, right? And I feel like the thing I took away actually was being open-minded to experiences. In fact, I think last time maybe I was quite close-minded because I have this very fixed definition of what like a friend is. Like a friend must know my history, a friend must have been in many of my memories. I need to be able to like have gone through so many milestones with you to be considered a friend, right? And so like I didn't really want to make new friends anymore. But I think in uni, when I was exposed to a few friends who kind of surprised me that we could connect and click that way, right? It taught me to be open-minded to experiences, that like I will just really never know when I will chance upon somebody who I can connect with at that level. And in fact, if I look at my life now, right, like some of the closest friends in my life, actually I met in the past 5 years. Like they didn't grow up with me. We don't have a lot of shared memories. But in the past 5 years, because I think I saw how they supported me through certain milestones, how they were sincerely like curious about me, interested in my life, check in on me, right? Then these are people that I have grown to emotionally lean on, depend, and consider people who love me and care for me lah. And yeah, I think just maybe in our 20s being open-minded to meeting different kinds of people and like welcoming friendships might just help, you know? Yeah.
Actually, recently, like I like my church community lah, like we are all people of like different ages, and like also I got to know them like within the past 5 years only. But then like after I talked to all these people of like the youngest is like same age as me lah, but the oldest like 10-year age gap, that kind of thing. I think after I have conversations with them, and like they do the same thing as like your friends do lah. So like they check on me, and then they encourage me, and then we just talk about life. And then I think it like really enriches me and refreshes me to really see to hear and see about perspectives of people who have like lived longer than me, who have like more experience in life than me. And like because okay, like my job is a graphic designer, right? So like all I do is like design and like face the screen and like maybe make pretty things. But then when they talk about business or they talk about like accounting, like finance things, I'm like, wow, like I really don't understand what you're saying lah, but like it sounds really exciting, and like I'm interested to like know more about the world through your eyes. And like when they share like also tips about like how to like live better, how to like, you know, like take care of your budget and stuff, I think I really like learn a lot from like all these. And then like I think it's just something about like their encouragement as someone who has lived longer than me that really like, you know, like holds a lot of weight. So I think it's very good lah.
I think on this note, I think everyone has a story lah. Yeah, and you never know how their story can encourage or motivate you. I think in certain, they could be very different from you outlook, but how they deal with challenges, like I mean, someone very diverse in the night scene, for example, a nightclub, a bouncer. I hear from him his story, how he dealt with conflict. I thought he would fight a lot.
You're very street smart, right?
Yeah, very street smart. He said no, the first thing is not to fight, is to resolve the conflict. I'm like, wow, wisdom. Wow, from a bouncer.
Even you have that physique, but
correct.
you were like, okay.
I thought he would fight first. Then he said, no, wisdom, talk about it. No need to fight. I'm like, wow.
Gentle giant.
So these are the stories that makes me like, wow, okay, I'm open, I'm hearing your story. And that encourages, I mean, that gives me like, and I never know, along the way, maybe I meet him, I need help. I can, help me.
Or like you meet someone they need to fight, then you
No, conflict manage.
Oh,
conflict
okay,
manage.
not fight.
Sorry.
Yes. I run. Yes.
I actually feel like that's one of the that's one of the things that happens in your 20s, right? Because before that, you're just always in school. And so your opportunity to make friends, right, is probably just with people who are your age lah. Or maybe just like around your age, but very, very common background, very common life experiences. But one of the things that happens in your 20s, especially when you graduate school, right, is that you're kind of thrown into the world where you meet people of different ages, different backgrounds. And we can either choose to approach it with like wow, people are so different from me and I don't understand them, so I can never connect to them. or you can choose to be open-minded in wanting to learn about what people are like, right? And I really like what Alvin said about the bouncer story, that many times it may not even be about like how close can I be to this person? How much will he be there for me? Or like, wow, will he be my kid's like godfather next time? You don't have to jump the gun there, right? But actually a lot of times it's just about like learning about different people's experiences, broadening your worldview. And in that process, maybe you find somebody that you can click with on some level and it can go deeper from there. But it doesn't mean that the person that you didn't connect with so deeply is not really a person you enjoy a friendship with. Yeah. As we talk about all this, right, do you feel like for people who may want to try to put themselves out there to make friends with people, do you have some tips, for them?
Tips. Like first thing is to get over your own awkwardness and be comfortable with yourself. I think we're all unique and we are okay with don't find yourself too weird or too it's okay. Just be there, know people, and like I mentioned, everyone has their own story. And as you hear more from them, you will also enrich your story as well to be more colourful. It's like food like that. You don't just fix on a certain cai fan. It's so plain. You may go to different places you may discover new food, new cuisines that may strengthen your experience as a whole. And I think this comes from really opening up and really being open to try, to even be paiseh, to just initiate. Maybe the frequency can reduce a bit, like instead of like very often the expectation to I must hit a certain target. Be kind to yourself. Just say maybe I just initiate a very brief conversation through text, and then see how it goes. It could start as simple or as small as that. Yeah.
Actually, one of the things I realized, right, is that if you have nothing to really say, you don't have to talk about yourself, ma. Like you can just ask them about their life, and then you place the responsibility on them to talk more.
Yes.
So that's what I do. Like I actually just ask them like, like how have you been? What are you busy with? Then then I got a lot of time to like listen and think like, But I realized when I ask people about themselves, right, and then they share me, it's easier for me to continue the convo rather than I need to keep thinking about things about myself to share, because I have no idea what's interesting about me to tell you. So like just find out about
just find out.
Yeah, I think what a tip I would give is that like, cause I'm like extremely introvert, right, and it's very hard for me to like talk to people, but actually just like a simple hello will do. I feel like sometimes like I think cause a conversation goes both ways, right, and friendships go both ways. So it's not just like, when you think about it, it's not just like, I'm just gonna put in all this effort and it's very tough for me, but actually the other person like will put in effort also. Like if you say hello and if you ask like, maybe like what are your hobbies, and like a conversation really goes both ways lor. So sometimes you really just got to like put yourself out there and like start small lah, like be kind to yourself, start small and just initiate. And sometimes it's really not as hard as like you think. Yeah.
Join parties, join gatherings. Be
Maybe
out there.
Not parties. I mean for
Library
For
party.
introverts,
Yeah.
for introverts. Yeah.
library party. Okay, like read books together. Can.
Read books together.
Yeah,
Then
Yeah.
discuss what you read.
Yeah.
Bookworm.
Yeah. You never know, right?
You never know.
Yeah.
I also think that like part of being willing to put ourselves out there is learning to be more secure in our own identity. That I think maybe we need to grow to appreciate ourselves for what we bring to the table. And you really might not be everybody's cup of tea lor. Like I don't need to be well liked by every single person, but actually I just need to kind of like be comfortable enough in my own skin, right? And I think the importance of that is that when you're comfortable enough in your own skin, right, you don't take rejection so personally. Sometimes we take rejection very personally because we see it as an attack on our identity, where we feel like we're not good enough, or we're not funny enough, we're not entertaining, fun enough, such that people don't want to hang out with us, right? But maybe I'm just not your energy or your kind of like friend that you are looking for. But actually, if I am satisfied with being myself, I can probably find somebody who is able to appreciate me, and then I can form a friendship with that person. And I think once you remove that fear of like rejection, once you don't see it as such a personal attack on your identity, right, then it's okay to kind of put yourself out there. I mean, the worst case is just they don't respond to you, or then you go back and then you like, sian, why did I say that stupid thing and make myself look so stupid? I think that to myself all the time because I always say stupid things when I'm awkward. But like, I mean, then you go to sleep and you wake up and it's another day for you to say another stupid thing. But then every time you say something, you learn And I think you do this enough, you probably would find some people around you who are able to connect to you. I think just the nature of most of our, like the fact that you are at a certain workplace, that already kind of forms for you an environment where people have a certain common interest, just because you're around people who do the same thing as you, right? But I think also then there's room to consider joining some interest group. That's one of the tips on the internet, by the way, for making friends in your 20s. They will ask you to like join more interest groups, or maybe just go for more like exercise classes or community events, right? Where people around you kind of have the same interest as you. So you at least have a common topic. And I think that's quite an easy way to start. If you have nothing to share about yourself, then you just talk about the thing that you all like together. And that might be a low-hanging fruit for people who are trying to make friends in their 20s. Yeah, so I think we talked about a lot of things today. We hope that the tips have been helpful, and we hope that you relate to some of our stories that as you hear what each of us kind of navigated in this process of like making friends, right, you realize that some of the feelings you have, feeling awkward, feeling like you have a limit to your close friends bank in your heart, right, like we also feel it. And I mean, I guess the advice from today is to put yourself out there, to be more open-minded to getting to know people and having new experiences in life. And so we are glad that you joined us for today's episode. And if you like our content, you can like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at NGL People. Our podcast can be found on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple, and we also have a Telegram channel where you can join us to participate in our discussions and just have more conversations with us. So we hope you enjoyed our episode today, and we'll see you next time. Bye!